ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I am rejoined by two very special guests who I recently had the pleasure of talking with about Vampirella Dark Reflections, which, by the way, I don't know if you've done it yet, but you need to go check it out. You know, go make sure you go get your, go to your local shop and, ask for that in your pull box. Just saying. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But I am joined by special guests Tom Sniegoski and Jeanine Acheson.
Close.
Acheson. I keep messing it up. It's the easy. It should be the easiest one, but for some reason I keep wanting, it's in my head. I keep wanting to say it.
All good.
I keep wanting to say it. But no. Thank you both for joining me again here. And you guys actually have something very special that is on the horizon.
Yes.
That wasn't really like when it, because usually you see these things. I had actually heard some rumblings kind of prior to getting to take a look at it, and but I hadn't, I didn't really know what it was I was in store for. But Soul Taker. Which, by the way, I love the name Soul Taker. Like it sounds like it's it sounds like something very serious, like a real deal, like whole thing. So like I absolutely love it. So can you give us a little brief introduction to Soul Taker and our main character, Amarantha?
You want to do it?
No, you go.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Soul Taker is about Amarantha, who is the last of her kind. These creatures who have existed on the earth for hundreds of thousands of years, and she's the last of them. But you would never know that she was anything special. She looks like a little old lady living in a retirement community in Miami. But she's basically an energy vampire. She feeds off the life forces of people, and she lives in these retirement communities, just kind of walking by, giving somebody a pat on the back and a handshake, and she gets just enough to keep herself alive, just enough to sustain herself and live the kind of quiet life that she's come to enjoy. But there is something from her past that she thought was done that isn't done. An enemy, a group of enemies from the past that have been hunting her and have pretty much put together where she is and how she's living and have come after her. So it's almost kind of like reawakening all of her experiences from the past are kind of coming to the forefront again. And she has to decide, do I fight? Do I let them take me out? What do I do? Do I leave the life that I've come to love? Do I leave people that I've come to love? Or do I fight? And that's pretty much the series. Like her decisions and these awful people that are after her who proclaim themselves to be in the right because they're so righteous and godly and stuff that they think that they're dealing with something very evil and they want to wipe it. But she's the last of them, so or at least
that's the thing that kind of threw me for a loop, because when I was initially taking a look at it, I was thinking okay, so I was like, clearly I was like, this woman is immortal. And as the story, as the first issue kind of unfolded, I was like, I wonder what her deal is. And and as you go along, clearly she's something special. She's someone who is not like anyone else. You get that that impression pretty early on. But energy vampire was something that I was not exactly expecting at first. So I thought it was a really nice kind of departure from your typical story about an immortal character. Whether they're a vampire or not, it's not a typical thing to go in that direction, and I thought it was really cool. So I just want to put that out there. Now that that's all said, how did this come together? Was this like an idea that y'all just kind of were kind of spitballing back and forth and just kind of flowed out?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
It came,
about I
yeah,
think 4 years ago now,
Oh
yeah,
almost 4 years
wow.
ago.
So
yeah.
this has
I'd
been in
say,
the back pocket for a while then.
Yeah, it kind of grew on its own. About 4 years ago, on a Saturday afternoon, Tom and I were texting with each other, and he had just been to visit his elderly mom, and she's 96 now, so she was 92 then.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, how's your mom doing?" And he said, "Oh, she's still old." And I was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if, like, the next time you go, she's like 10 years younger? And then she keeps getting younger and younger and younger every time you see her." And he was like, and I said, "Oh, but that's crazy because that story's already been written. That's Benjamin Button." And so we started talking about it. And he's like, "Well, what if that were a short story? Or I said, what if it were a short story?" So I kind of, at the time, I was journaling every chance I got. And I kind of wrote out this little scene where this young man goes to visit his mother and he notices that she's just very spry. And then we kind of kept on talking about it. And every time we talked about it, like, a new facet of the story would come up. Like, what if she's immortal? What if she has the ability to, like, feed off other people and it kind of makes her younger? And at the time, my mother was living in an elderly facility, in a long-term care facility. Tom's mom is in elderly housing. And we just kept going back to the idea. And every
Mm.
time we did, something new about Amarantha would come out. And before
Mm.
we knew it, we had this big story for this character. We typed everything up and then we kind of left it there. And then I think about maybe 2 years ago, or
yeah,
probably
that's
about
a,
at least a year and a half or 2 years ago, we were talking with Tom's friend, Mark Irwin from Mad Cave Studios.
Mm.
And we kind of pitched him the idea. And he was like, "That sounds really interesting. We should do that." And the character and the series, the miniseries, was born. It was crazy.
I can't say this enough. I like the premise of it because kind of the thing that more to y'all's point. I don't really think too often of stories where someone who well, I mean, yeah, obviously she's still really spry for someone who's lived as long as she has, but it's not every day that you read a story about someone who is that old, or by appearance or otherwise, and
right.
yeah, and the story is focused on them, and they like I don't know, it was like seeing it, I was like, yeah, that's like my this character could be my mother or my grandmother, like I was like, I thought it was really cool just because you just don't see that very often. And like she has a life, her wants, her needs, her desires, the things that she enjoys doing, or whatever does not enjoy doing, or whatever, like
Yeah.
she felt like a for being as yeah, I guess ancient of a being. She felt like a real living, breathing person. Like even down to how she feels about like the people around her. Like it felt like I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, it's like this is probably what it would feel like to be,
Yeah,
to be someone who's lived as long as she has.
yeah,
Yeah. I think we took a lot of the character from both of our mothers. Like
Mm,
our parents were all about the same age.
mm,
Tom's mom is the only one left, and she's still a firecracker. She's
mm.
96, and she's still very
Man.
independent, very much has her opinions on things.
Mm,
And my mother was the same way. So I
mm.
feel like this character is kind of a like a combination of all the really good parts of our parents, of our moms.
Well,
even though she's inhuman.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we leave that
Although my
part.
mother could be a little.
Yeah.
Well, if it's any testament, I owe a lot of my comic book knowledge and interest, and the origin point for me was my mother.
Oh, that's cool.
And so every time that I'm reading something, I'm always like, or I'm working on something or looking at something, I always like to show it to her just to see what because she loves this stuff. And like when I was showing I was showing her like one of the shots of Amara, just when she's like normal kind of doing whatever thing, and you kind of get to the point where you kind of see a little bit more about who and what she really is, and she was like, She's like, oh my God. Like, and then she's like, oh, this would make a great TV show. I was like, oh, oh,
That's what we thought.
yeah. so I think that is a in my mother's parlance, that is a glowing endorsement. But no, like, I thought it was really cool that you can make something like that, and it like the idea just, it seems like such a layup idea that I'm almost shocked you don't see more people do it, because like when I was reading, I was like, of course. I was like, of course this makes sense. And like it, but so with because obviously Amar, she has her she's got to have her conflict, and the whole idea of business left unfinished. I'm curious to know, like, so how far, like, without giving away too much, I feel like there's a lot of background that could just be mined for story, like, so like, how did you come up with maybe some of the ideas about maybe where and when or how far back maybe even Amara might go, if you can say without giving away too much?
No, we can say.
Yeah. I think we kind of had ideas in our head that were based on other things that we had seen. Tom had been watching, what was the show? Deadwood?
Yeah, Deadwood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, the 1800s in the United States. That was a cool time.
We should have a scene that takes place in that because what a great historical
We just kind of picked things, like I am a big fan of like the medieval times. Like, I love that stuff. So she's been through the medieval times. It's just, I don't know, I think we kind of, and this is where Tom really is like the shining star of the duo here. He's very visual, and he's like, it would be really cool to show this. And it just kind of goes from there. So we just kind of picked and chose different eras for her to have lived through. And turns out she's really, really, really old. So yeah.
Well, it was awesome to me. So full disclosure, I grew up an unhealthily big fan of Highlander. So when Discovery,
okay.
Yeah, it was not healthy. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't
healthy.
It was not healthy. No. It was unhealthy and involved a lot of heartbreak, because the movies only got worse as they went, and thankfully I had the TV show to fall back on.
There you go.
Yeah, the movies are a riot, because you're like, what the hell are they doing?
Why is all this happening?
What are you doing?
But like, my favorite aspect of those was always, well, what were they doing back, in, I don't know, maybe the 1500s, maybe the 1800s, the 1700s, who knows? Like, maybe in the, maybe there were some before, maybe some BC times in there, something like I always like seeing something like that, seeing how a character evolves from like one point from one point to another in time, like especially like a very wide amount of time.
Yeah.
So like I get, so like that was the kind of thing I was like, ooh, I wonder if we get to see like a lot of like like, are we gonna get to see like, ooh man, and so it's cool to know that we can expect that for her as a character.
There were very specific points
Mhm.
that we wanted to showing like the progression to various other points that caused her to end up kind of where she is.
Mm.
So there are events that happen that kind of take her in a very specific direction
in her life, and things that actually dovetailed with actual events from like our real world.
Mm.
So we did a little bit of research, which that's like my thing. I love research. So yeah, that was fun.
I just make it up.
He just makes stuff up. But like, well, did that really happen?
Well, to be fair, sometimes and I think that's actually really cool too, just because as the saying goes, fact is often stranger than fiction, and it's cool because like, just with the character herself, And and kind of even just in kind of shorthand in the first issue, like you could just tell, like, man, she has seen some stuff.
Oh yeah.
She has clearly seen some stuff. Like everything that is occurring her like around her, she's probably seen for like the umpteenth millionth time.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a very interesting character arc, especially. And this is always my favorite part of stories like this, when you have a protagonist that is, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, just so lived. They've seen it all. When you have antagonists who not really so much talking about the unfinished business, but like the secret organization that is kind of bird dogging her. I always find it interesting, like, oh, I want to know, like, man, do they really know what they're up against? Or like, do they think they know, but they really don't know? Or I like how y'all play with that, how unprepared they might be for what it is that awaits them. So, like, what was the inspiration behind having that organization in place? Because clearly their designs are probably something that is pretty nefarious.
Well, if anybody's familiar with my work, I have this kind of hair across my butt about the Catholic Church. So that's my go-to. They are the and I was raised Catholic. That's the funny thing.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
So I totally feel I feel exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. So they're my go-to villain. Like 99% of the time. If you read my novels, they're usually there somewhere, causing a problem, doing something nefarious.
Well, the churches, the Catholic Church is something that it's an interesting antagonist, or like an interesting inspiration for an antagonist, because you can often make the case that, oh, well, they think they're the good guys, so of course they're doing what they're doing. They think it's perfectly normal.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly them. Yeah,
and you can go out into history and find examples of all of it. Yeah. So it's very easy to kind of build these things with what staying very believable, because again, a lot of this stuff, it has been done to some extent. So yeah, it was kind of cool to construct them.
Well, and here's something that I also thought was pretty damn interesting as well, is that because at first I was thinking, well, okay, I was like, Amara, she's an immortal, so okay, that's already kind of a loaded I guess special thing about her that just really sets her apart. And you learn that, oh, she's energy vampire on top of it. I was like, okay, so yeah, no, this is okay, yeah, no, she's very specifically something different than the norm. And then like she displays like other abilities. I was like, I did not see that coming. So like, I guess the question is, what are there any other abilities that Amara's hiding that
we don't see?
Oh,
I don't know. Do we show in the first?
What we show in the first issue.
So yeah, because the first issue is I'll say she has the ability to blend in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She has yeah.
Actually, she does. She has like about, I think it's like we have a list of like 6 or 8 things that she is capable of, and I literally remember writing them down. Like, oh, what if she could do that? What if she could blend in? What if she could do this? So yeah, she does, and they kind of all appear at different points in her story arc. So yeah, she does, because I remember writing a list. We like made a list of all the things that she was capable of doing. So yeah, she's got some tricks.
And a lot of that stuff is connected with, like, I thought it was cool to kind of actually have like a biological connection, like the fact that like a chameleon can blend with their surroundings. So I thought it was cool to have like stuff that other animals in the world show off to some extent. So yeah, I thought it was kind of neat. And also like to show like maybe where certain parts of the vampire legend might have come from.
Mhm.
like the things that kind of were attached to various supernatural creatures throughout the centuries.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's well because it just once again it was one of those things like as I was reading through it and just seeing her just kind of in action just doing her thing and it was just like I was like yeah I was actually in a legitimate position where I was like I'm actually I mean she's a badass, don't get me wrong, but I was like man I was wondering how she's gonna fully get around some of this stuff. And it's like, oh, never mind. I was like, she's got this.
Yep.
And it only escalates from there.
I know.
Well, because it begs the question, like, if she is this badass, it makes you question, like, okay, well, there's something out there. She is dealt with in the past and thought that she took care of and is still like walking around and living to tell the tale. That means there's someone out there just equally as deadly and dangerous. So
she didn't get the root.
It's interesting too because you get I think by the time you get to the end of the first issue we kind of get an idea of like who else is out there. And I really liked the reveal towards him because I always say I like my antagonists. Sometimes I just like a wild and crazy antagonist, someone who just looks like they can't be reasoned with, they can't be bartered with. They're just good old fashioned classic, just not okay
bad guys.
The classic bad guys.
Like a guy who they really love. They love what they do.
They love what they do.
Yeah.
That's their purpose.
Yeah.
It's the only purpose in life.
And when you add some religious zeal to that, that becomes even more.
Because he's right.
For the church. Yeah, it's for the church.
It's all about God. You're doing this for God.
Yep.
Well,
Glory.
What was the was there any inspiration behind the or any, like I would say like the church, but like were there any like I don't know, like any ideas like that really just kind of drove our antagonist, or I guess like one of the main people I presume is the one that's kind of gunning for Amara. Like what, like I would love to know like kind of a little bit of the inside baseball on that.
Probably just like I mentioned earlier, there are just certain moments in history that the church was responsible for some pretty horrible things. I mean, the Crusades. That was a wonderful thing.
That's on the Greatest Hits album.
Yeah, that's on the Greatest Hits album. I mean, even like you see a lot with like the witch hunts throughout Europe and Massachusetts and whatever. I mean, they were very largely responsible for that stuff too.
That woman knows math. Burn her.
Yeah, well, I think it's taking those kinds of acts like the Crusades and the witch hunts and fear of the unknown, fear of what isn't like you, and just kind of turning that up to 20. I mean, I can't imagine that the cats, like within the Catholic Church, that an organization wouldn't exist to deal with that problem, with those problems. Like here's this group. These are badass, horrible people that can deal with our horrible problem, so they can go do what they want to do because they're dealing with the thing that we're afraid of.
Right.
So that's where the Venatori come from. Is that they were given kind of like carte blanche within the church to deal with these threats.
Yeah, and to protect their
faith
people. Yeah, and their faith. Yeah,
protect the faith and protect the world from these unknowns.
That is always a dangerous prospect to me too, because when people feel that they're right about something, when people feel that what they're doing is righteous, it emboldens in a way that like kind of like what you do see at the end of this first issue, like people that are just so brazen in what they do that like I can do whatever I want. Who's gonna stop me? God told me I can do this. So I mean,
well, yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's exactly.
It's like I don't know this. I don't know what God told you, but he speaks to me. He speaks to me. I can do whatever I want.
The ultimate The ultimate authority.
Yeah. Well, and it's something that I really like the aspect of that, because it puts this. I think whenever you take a religious organization and put something sinister behind it, like it does feel real,
Yeah.
because like I said, we've seen it, and even in some more like insidious and nefarious ways, but like I like that idea of it, just because and then you pitting them against a main character, a protagonist, like Amara, who you can tell like she's not, you get the impression that whoever she was in her past, whether for whatever reason, like it's not like she was like perfect or anything, but like she's someone who has lived a long time, so you see a lot of wild stuff, but like she just wants to chill. And you got these zealots out here that are kind of doing their thing, and it just makes her even more. I think it makes her even more relatable, just because like I'm like, man, I kind of empathize with her, man. I'm tired. I want to just sit down somewhere, and chill.
I think normally you would take a character like Amara and make her the bad guy.
Yeah, it would be easy to do. I think
it'd be very easy to do, but as this series progresses, you'll see more and more. She just wants to be left alone. She she wants to continue to live the existence she's lived, and not have to deal with this crap. But
yeah,
the crap follows.
Well, even like down to like her personal relationships, and like it's like it's like you could tell that like I like. I think I instantly related, because for as much as I'm good with people, I have I have a social battery like everybody else, and I empathized with her on the level of the just like you could tell like she probably doesn't really like people coming around or like just hanging out too long, but like he's like, oh, I got this one neighbor who I kind of want to I don't know, I kind of want to see where this goes. It was like I kind of just want to also be left alone as well.
I mean, think about the history that she's probably falling back on, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there was probably something that happened a very long time ago that kind of sours you from getting close.
Yeah.
So
yeah. You probably watched people die. You probably whether it was whether it was something malicious or even just normal humdrum just life. But I imagine like it would especially just kind of based on the idea of potentially how long she's been alive. I imagine it would be I'd imagine you probably get tired of losing people one way or the other.
You would have seen a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had a lot of conversations with my mother about that too before she passed. She was like 95, I think, when she passed. And she said one time, like, everybody's gone. Like, my friends are gone. My husband is gone. Everybody who's my age is gone. And I think, she had me, she had my siblings, she had, grandchildren and all that. But it's still, I think when you get to be a certain age, you get very isolated.
Yeah.
And Amara, having been around for as long as she's been around, I know how isolated my mom was and how isolated your mom is, Tom.
Yeah.
And she's only 95, but Amara's got to be, thousands of years old. So she's kind of isolated to the max, and she just wants to live her life quietly and peacefully and not get too close to anybody.
And let's remember, she's the last of her kind. Why?
Yeah.
That opens up a kind of flood for the future issues.
Yeah.
Well, it's. I feel like the gate is wide open by the time we get to the end of the first issue, just with potential. Because when I got to the end, I was like, oh man, this was a good place to end the issue, but I was still kind of like a little salty. I was like, I kind of want to know a little more. I kind of want to see what happens next.
5 more issues.
I was like, man. But no, and let me. You kind of already hinted at this. Kind of how it all came together. at Mad Cave, and I actually thought like when I saw that this was through Mad Cave, and Mad Cave has been kind of making a lot of waves lately, just because I think the creator owned space is like just one of the coolest things ever, just because you just kind of get to just do your thing, just like let loose, like tell good stories and all that good stuff. But like I really like, because I've seen some really awesome stories come out of there. So I was actually really excited to see when I took a look, I saw the little Mad Cave Studios imprint. I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. But like,
they're great. They're great to work with. I mean,
They really are.
They're incredibly excited about comics
Yeah.
and storytelling, and that, I think, me being the old timer that I am, I find that I've seen so many companies come and go. It's always nice to see somebody willing to give it the college try and try to do it right. And I think Mad Cave is doing it right. I think their whole approach to creators and promotion and the whole 9 yards is like just super, super exciting. Very, very exciting.
Well, and I'm curious too, because y'all have a lot of irons in the fire and just doing a lot of incredible stuff. I was like, oh wow, I was like, man, I wasn't expecting something as soon already, but like it kind of made me want to ask the question, like because you said this is something y'all have kind of had in the back pocket for a few years now. I'm sure probably can't say like explicitly. That is kind of one of the things I'm always kind of curious about with is when you're like pitching story ideas and coming up with stuff and trying to figure out, hey, what's the next thing we could kind of mess around with. How full is that board? That vision board
getting more full every day. See, now this is the funny thing about Jeanine and I. Jeanine is still young enough in this whole process that she becomes maybe a little bit overwhelmed by the fact that I'm kind of like a whirlwind. I mean, as far as like story ideas and concepts and I want to do that, and I want to do that, and I want to do that. I kind of don't stop.
No.
It's kind of hard to turn off for one thing. So yeah, we've got quite a few irons in the fire.
A lot on our plates.
Yeah.
A lot. But it's all doable. It's fine.
I think
and it's exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And if we could tell you the stuff the stuff that we can't talk about is so cool. But as soon as we can talk about it, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take it. Well, and I love it too, because I think I said this we spoke last time, but I really love seeing creative people excited about what they're doing, and so like and not even just about like the thing they're doing now, but like excited about the thing they're doing next. And it's a refreshing thing to see. Not to say I don't see it all the time, but just like I can recall times where like I have encountered people that probably could even seem less interested in what it is that they were working on or what they were doing. So not diming anybody out, but but no, just like sometimes you can just kind of tell. It's like it's like I like seeing that level of excitement. And I guess because it seems like the environment just based on y'all's testimony, and I've talked to some other people that have worked with Mad Cave Studios, like it just seems like it is like probably one of the best places for creative for people who are just creative in their imagination, their drive, their writing, their art, so on. It seems like Mad Cave is kind of like that place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I
like
don't,
right
Yeah.
now.
I don't think I've ever seen a company where everybody that you happen to talk to, whether
Yeah.
they're the president of the company or somebody who's working the booth, is
Yeah.
genuinely excited about this.
Everybody in between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they want to talk. They want to talk about it. They want to talk
Mhm,
to you about it. They're
Yeah.
like we've had the president of the company come up to us at a show and say, that new idea you just pitched us, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like, you're the president. You're
I
the
know.
president of the company. I mean, so that makes me feel incredibly good that for one thing that he could know who we were.
Yeah, knows who we are.
That's something amazing. And be excited about what the
Yeah.
thing that we're pitching to them.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an odd thing to have in the comic book business, I think. To have that level of excitement on
Yeah.
on all levels.
Yeah.
Well, even to your point earlier about you having seen imprints come and go, publishers come and
Yeah.
go.
Oh yeah.
It's something that because just as a reader,
Yeah.
I remember looking back and it's like, oh hey, there's these new comics coming out by this new publisher, and it's like, oh okay, well all right. And it's like, you go to, and all of a sudden another one comes on. It's like, oh wow, okay, cool. It's like, "Oh, okay, there's that." And it kind of, I feel like it's become that thing. Like I remember when like when Image Comics kind of first hit the scene,
Yeah.
and I kind of had the same mentality. I was like, oh, okay, well, they're not gonna last long. And because it just, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this happen uh, at this point.
Yeah.
But like but it was one of those things that like it made it against all odds, mind you. So I love it now that it seems like there's just more studios coming out there that are with that same kind of zeal, um, and also potentially that same staying power. So I think just based on a handful of the things that I've read out of the Mad Studios camp, I'm like I said, I'm very impressed with what they have going on. And I guess and I know you probably can't say, but like I assume that probably at least one or more of the ideas y'all have in store. I get the impression that it's safe to say you could probably see another one of those popping up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Popping up at Bad Cave.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Oh, so let me ask this because I know there's been just a little bit of time, but like, I actually have a question for you, Jeanine. I'm curious to know, like, because when last we talked about kind of like doing the shows, doing the cons, and and talking about just like kind of your journey on um getting just completely immersed in the spectrum of comics and in in the history of it, like after like now that because you've got a nice number of comics under your belt now,
Yeah.
like so at this point in time, like how, like what does it feel like, what does it feel like now?
It's funny, I'm still very excited,
Mhm.
but I still feel very new.
Mhm.
For comparison, I taught seventh grade English for about 15 years. By this time in my teaching career, I was like, yeah, I got this. I'm good. It's fine. I did what I had to do. I did my lesson plans. I did my unit plans. I did my grading. I did all my stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like I considered myself like fairly seasoned at that point, like around 4 or 5 years. And now I still sometimes feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. But it's still very exciting to learn new things every day. We've been working on a new project, And I was thinking about that the other day. Somebody had called and asked or contacted Tom and me and asked for advice for his students. That's an artist that we've been working with. And I was like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And I'm like the worst person to take that advice. Like I can dish it out so well, but I'm like still most of the time so afraid to make mistakes. And I feel like until I get over that,
Mhm.
I'm going to like not feel seasoned. So
Well,
So we're still working on her getting over
still
it.
work, still work in progress.
Look, it's I suffer a similar affliction in a lot of things. I don't like making mistakes either. I literally am. I literally went semi-viral on TikTok the other day for being incredibly loud and wrong about something at the same time. So trust me, it's okay. I
Fine. Yeah.
I tell people all the time, even heroes mess up sometimes. But but no, like it is one of those things. Like I can empathize with that though, because you don't
Yeah.
yeah, making and I will say if there has been a mistake, I have yet to see it. But I would
Fix the
say but like I think that I think that you are probably like becoming more comfortable just in what you're doing than you may even realize. But
I think that's true. I think like when I was a teacher, I went to grad school to get my master's in education, and that's like so different than this. That's like, you're teaching students, you're going to class, you're trying out all the new things, all the theories and all the practical things on your students, and that's great, and you're kind of learning with the books as you go. And this is like completely different. It's like total immersion. There are some books, and Tom's a great teacher, but it's still, I'm kind of like, when I think about like doing this all completely on my own, I would be like completely flying solo, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's fine. So yeah,
he's like nope.
Yeah, no, not ready, not ready.
Well, I will definitely say I think y'all make a solid like a very solid duo. So
I think we're pretty good too. Yeah.
well, just the way y'all kind of spit ideas off of each other, and can just kind of be like just in sync, is like I think that's something very like I think that's very good thing to see in people who are working on something as creative as comics can very well be. So yeah, anything that you haven't seen, Tom's probably seen, and then vice versa. You kind of cover each other's bases, and I think it's pretty damn awesome. But like I think I said last time, y'all kind of opened my mind up to the idea of like more like collaborative writing. And
If you find the right person, it can really work well.
Yeah.
It could be like it's like it's like an orchestra with a conductor.
Yes.
Is what I kind of imagine. Like it just makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
I'm and and more to that point too. 'Cause, for you, Tom, because like I said, like I imagine there's probably very little in the comics industry that you haven't experienced on some level or another.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot in my centuries of comic. I'm like Amara. I've seen it all as I wander the comic book wasteland.
Well, and I'm like I literally was thinking about this the other day, because I was like, man, Tom, you've written like so many things, and like I imagine that this has got to be like absolute fun mode, because like you can kind of just you can cut loose, but I mean you can also kind of like not have to I guess bend all the way over backwards, in trying to come up with ideas and things of that nature. So yeah, I was literally sitting there thinking, I was like, I don't know if there's like any type of story that Tom like if there's anything out there that like you haven't tackled yet, because I think you've been all over the place from Buffy to Vampirella to God, just pretty much everything.
Hellboy
And yeah,
universe.
Hellboy. Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, you could like, so, and I guess that is also kind of where I land here is there, and if you can't say, I totally get it. Is there any chance that we could see you tackling any of those maybe specific franchises again, and get Jeanine in on this? Like,
it's funny that you should ask that. There is something currently on the verge of a meeting.
Yep.
That could be something similar to what you're mentioning right now. So yeah, this is actually very exciting. I'm actually really excited about this. So yeah, this yeah, I know. This is big.
So I will be I'll be reaching out again later.
Oh, you're gonna get sick of us. You're gonna see.
I know. Like them again.
So much in the next like 6 months that.
Oh no, there's no chance. There's no chance. But no, I that actually makes me really excited for y'all both on this, because I don't know. I love seeing stuff like this. So I guess for me, the next thing is going to be kind of getting back to Soul Taker. Now we have the first issue. It's going to be coming up in is it July the 3rd?
July 3rd.
Okay, so July 3rd, we're going to be getting the first issue out, which, by the way, there will be links in the description, pinned comment below. Go and touch one of those links down there. There's going to be links, so make sure you do that. But and you said this is going to be is it going to be 5 or 6?
I think it's 6.
6 issues?
Yeah.
6 issues, yep.
Okay. I will definitely say we're already off to a good start. So I'm pretty sure the next I'm pretty sure the next 5 are going to be fantastic. Getting to the end of that first issue and kind of knowing what we got in store, man. I'm curious to I'm very curious to see what y'all have up next for this. But one thing I'm curious about too is who is it that I can't remember the name off the top of my head, and I should be better about this. I think I have it. You're gonna be working with Valeria Berza. What was that like to work with Valeria on this? How quickly did that all come together?
Pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Once we had signed with Mad Cave, they put out feelers for an artist for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we found Valeria, and we had been looking at her stills online on like her Facebook page or Instagram, and they were amazing. And she had done a book for Dark Horse, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, she did in the Mignolaverse. Castle Full of Blackbirds.
Yeah, which was great. So it's been nice working with her. She gets Amara. She gets like women, which is really nice. So yeah, she's good.
That was actually the thing that kind of, because I remember when I was reading it, I knew I had seen her work somewhere before, and then I was like, oh yeah, of course, it was over at Dark Horse, and I was like, this is a pretty kind of perfect like little fit for the story. I was like, I thought it was so
flashy. It's very very subtle. There's a subtleness to it, but even though the concepts and the ideas, once they're revealed, are not subtle at all.
Right.
It's almost like
you don't do subtle very well.
No, I don't. I'm not known for my subtlety.
No.
I mean, I think that personally, I think subtlety is sometimes overrated. So, I think of myself as a hammer, so that's my style of doing things. Subtlety has its place. I don't think it's here though.
Yeah, not in
Not here.
comics.
No.
Not in comics. Subtlety in comics.
Well, you know, if you're too subtle, you run the risk of the message being lost in translation.
Right.
And I say it all the time, but yeah, sometimes I think that I think there's a lot of people out there that lack reading comprehension. So so there's that. But no, I really liked what she did with this because the obviously the character and talking head stuff is great.
Yeah.
And it looks good, and I like, I think I said this earlier. I love Amara's design just because she actually, it was kind of funny. She actually kind of reminds me of look wise of my mother-in-law.
Really?
And yeah, my mother-in-law, she was a well, all the women in my wife's family are like Amazons. But like they're all like 6'1", 6'2", something like that. But like, but just it was a very similar look. Like she kind of had like the shorter hair, kind of more of a rugged, kind of just leave me the hell alone style of dress. And maybe even vaguely similar personality traits. But no, I love the design, but I also loved when that the action kicks in. And Valeria knocked it out of the park on the action sequences. So yeah, please let her know she did a fantastic job. I'm very anxious to see what she does with the next 5 issues on that. I'm curious, like when she was doing like designs and stuff for Amara, like was it like right off the, like where she went to with Amara, was it like right off the bat, or were there like multiple other designs, or like where did that kind of land?
I think there were, I think we had almost like the equivalent of like she'd done a bunch of different sketches and let us kind of look and say a little of this, a little of this. So we
Yeah.
almost like went shopping with her, with her various, and kind of combined them together to make Amara. I think the best thing we said to her was, think Tilda Swinton, the actress Tilda
Okay.
Swinton, like that kind of
Yeah. That's what we started
androgynous.
thinking of as we were creating the character.
Yeah.
And we both kind of said, gee, if this were a movie, who would play her? And I think we both at the same time said Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like it.
It's like our go-to.
Yeah, we go. It's so funny. Like I can't tell you how many things that we've written that we've said, kind of like Tilda Swinton. Oh.
Well, it's awesome because like that was also kind of like because that's kind of how my brain works too. Is I look at this like, oh yeah, this this person, that's my mind works in pop culture references, by and large. But when I was, I now that I know this, I'm gonna go back and read it again.
You'll look for it,
and it will only be like the voice. It will all be in Tilda Swinton's voice, because that was actually kind of, thinking about the voice of the character. Not necessarily, it was never specifically Tilda Swinton's voice in my head, but a voice very like kind of in that register, or kind of tone. So that actually makes it even more. It makes me even more inclined to kind of go back and be like, okay, I'm reading this.
This is the vet's office. I have to say.
It's the vet.
Oh no. Hopefully it's something. Hopefully it's good news.
I know. You can be ready.
Hopefully
Very
it's good
fun.
news. The story is unfolding in a way that it feels great. Amara just feels like such a cool character. And
we really like her.
When characters feel so like actualized, like actual, like real, they feel like real people that I could just reach out and touch. That is always it is always a great thing, I think, for any story. And knowing that y'all put some of your own personal, experiences, your loved ones,
Yeah.
the relationship with both of your parents,
Yeah.
go kind of flowing into this.
Yeah.
It just like I always like I said, I always love when discovering the inside baseball and stuff, because like it enhances the story like every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So like I can go back and like, even not just like the Tilda Swinton stuff, but I can go back even like knowing like, okay, well, Amara is inspired by both of your mothers. So like now I'm going to it thinking like, hey, now I'm
Now you look
putting,
for it.
I'm
Yeah.
now viewing her through that lens. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, duh, yeah, of course. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I think that was a fantastic move. Like I will say, the only thing that I would have thought would have been more on brand is if she lived in Boca Raton.
I know, for some reason she just wound up in Miami.
Yeah.
Live.
Well, I mean, Miami makes more sense for her character, I think. But like whenever I think of like retirees in Florida, like I don't know why it's always in Boca. I don't know.
In Boca. I know.
I don't know why it's Boca. I don't know what's in Boca,
well,
but
the Golden Girls were in Miami.
Okay.
And I think at one point Betty White died. She was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember how long ago she died. It was probably like a year or so ago. But I remember like rewatching some of the Golden Girls. I'm like, they live in Miami. Maybe she should live there.
Well, so we stand the Golden Girls in this house, and and that was something I even kind of thought about too when I was reading. I was like, if there's just one Golden Girl left, and she was like absolute badass.
Betty White.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was. That's kind of where I was on that. So and the whole them being in Miami and all that stuff. Like, now I'm thinking about like, okay, so now I'm going back. So that once again, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the story and I'm going to read it. And now I'm going to be like, okay, so I have a checklist now. It's going to be Tilda Swinton, Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Moms. And so, and I can't wait to see how it reads to me, going through it again with that information. As I said earlier, the first issue of Soul Taker, July 3rd, link down below. Go pick it up. Get ready. You could go to Mad Cave Studios and get it, or go to your local comic shop.
Order it, yeah.
And also, as I said earlier at the top of the interview, if you have not already done so, if any of this sounded of any interest whatsoever, you will want to go and pick up. Or I think because Dark Reflections, I think we're still like another.
Yeah, that's June.
That'll be June, so we still got another month. So you still got time.
Still got time. Yep.
Go pre-order that too if this sounds interesting, because same amount of love.
A lot of love. Create our own Vampirella. I mean, that's we love them both.
Yeah. So and like I love to see it. I love to see it. I want y'all to see it. So y'all make sure y'all click those links. Also, don't forget there'll be a link down to the Vampiverse for that as well. So make sure y'all go check all that stuff out. I guess. And do y'all have anything else y'all wanted to plug while y'all were here?
I don't think so.
We got our.
That you can talk about. No, the secrets.
Nothing we can talk about. We do have the novella. The novella that's coming out at the beginning of next year. Nira.
Right, that's Nira. Yes.
That's still getting worked on. So that takes us out of comics and puts us in the prose world.
Which I think, Jeanine, that's more like that's a kind of putting you kind of
more
back
my
in your.
strength.
So
I'm less of a novice in prose than I am in comics.
Well, that actually makes me more curious. That makes me, because I know, Tom, you've written.
I've written like
on
40
both sides, yeah.
40 something novels under my.
Yeah, like this is old hat to you. You're good. You're good. But I'm really curious, because that's I want to. I'm curious to see when that, because it says what, January,
I think it was
January of next year. So yeah,
January, February, first quarter.
okay,
first-
so we'll have the links. Well, I have links down there for that as well. Because I want y'all to check that out too. Yeah, because I know books. I know there's no pretty pictures, but you use the ones in your
Actually,
head.
this one will have pictures.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
this was
It's
we
illustrated.
had, British artist named Tom Brown
He's
Is going to
great.
be doing some gorgeous illustrations to the inside. Yes.
Then I
Yeah.
take it back.
Yeah.
You can
He did
see
the
pretty
cover
pictures.
that has been announced. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, then there you go. See, all right, so the pictures are back on the menu, everybody. So let's just calm
It's like
down, let go of
kinda
your
like-
pearls.
Kind of like the old pulps. How the old pulps used to have little illustrations throughout it. That's
I like
Stuff.
that. I like
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm all excited about
I like that. Well, I guess with that said, thank y'all so much for this. And
Thank you for having us and letting us spout.
Well, I mean, y'all are easy to talk to, so it was the pleasure was mine, honestly. I love it. It's not a. I usually rack my brain the week before, the day before, night before. Like, oh, I gotta come up with questions. I gotta know. Oh, I don't know. What if I don't have enough questions? And when I talk to y'all, it's pretty easy. I can just like, oh yeah. Of course,
We
I can
just-
ask this.
We're like the guys at the comic shop. Just start talking.
Well, as having recently had an experience like that, I will say these are usually more pleasurable to me. So
Yeah.
I have been stopped before. I've been stopped before in a shop, and it's only happened. It's only happened once. Thankfully, it's only been the one time, but it was not a pleasant experience because it was someone who was very angry with me.
So obviously you had an opinion about something that they didn't care for.
They didn't care for.
Yeah, whenever you it was basically I don't remember the full breadth of it, but it was basically to the tune of, well, I really like when I like your commentary, but I just hate when you make it political. And I was like,
Oh boy.
it's like, well, it was a Captain America comic, so I don't really know
That's how do
what
you
else
avoid
to tell you.
how do you avoid politics with Captain America? You know what I mean? It's a little tough to do.
It's like I was like, look, man, I was like, it was a thing that was kind of like, I was like, I talked about it because I felt that it was obvious, but I guess it was not as obvious as I thought it was. So that's why I like to be a hammer. It's just, yeah, it's like, obviously, whenever the next thing that cannot be discussed yet is in play, please by all means come back.
Yes.
And when it was I guess kind of closer to January, February. Please feel more than free. Come back. We can talk about Nira. Whatever else doesn't matter. Come on back. I'll have you in. I will make the time.
We'll be showing up weekly.
I know. We don't want to talk about.
Hey, it's not gonna hurt my feelings. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.